Hello, everybody. My name is Grab Elwood. You are watching. Oh, I think I got to put my chair up a touch. What? That's weird. There we go. There it is. It's time for another episode of Government Secrets. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Share this out on your social media. I'm going to bring Leon here in a second. We're streaming on all the other platforms, so share it out. I just put this out on Twitter. There we go. Let's get it moving. All right. Hello, everybody in the chat. Good to see you. Of course, hit the like button. And if you want to support the show, do the super chat, which is the dollar icon. I won't answer those until after Lee and I finish the episode, which is usually about an hour. And today's episode will drop tonight or today, this afternoon, wherever time zone you're in. All right. Sharif Snugs, what's up, dude? Shave your knuckles for justice, vegan guns for truth. It's been a while, Graham. I've been working real hard, pushing Biden left. How am I doing? Yeah, dude, that is a Sisyphean type task. I applaud your efforts. Let me know how that goes. I mean, we're going to talk about, Lee and I are going to talk about this. Boy, his cabinet is shaping up to just look great. So thank you, Sharif, so much for supporting the show. Lee Cap, welcome to the program.
Hey, man.
I cannot hear you.
Hello.
Huh.
Testing.
What's still? No, I can't hear you.
Testing. Hello. Testing.
Nope. I see your lips move, but I can't hear you talk.
How about now?
Nope.
Testing.
Nope. No, it's not even registering on my board. Well, that was it. That was the episode, guys. Lee's gone. No, we'll figure out the tech shit. Sharif Snugs, good to see you. Truth to Tweet, what's up? Nicole, Libertarian, Sasha, Stina O'Grady, hello. Cat B, what's up? Let's try Leah Camp again.
How about now?
No, still nothing.
Still nothing?
Lee's going to do a rage mime. That's going to be most of today's episode. Yeah, I'm not hearing. Let me see. Edit mic settings. Let me see if there's.
How about now? Anything? Hello.
Yeah. I don't know. Lee's having a problem. In the meantime, I'm having a delicious smoothie. Everybody noticed my new fancy microphone? Ah, shit. Finally showed up in the mail. It's cool. I just ordered it in July. Not joking. Not making that up. It's a little after 3 o'clock on the Pacific Coast. 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Lee Camp is restarting his entire life, looks like. What's up, Backyard Politics? Sam Dean. Hold on. All right, this is a text from Kate, our moderator. Problem is on your side. We can hear him. Interesting. Okay. All right, let's... Okay, audience says they can hear you. All right, that's interesting. Okay, so it was on my end, Kate. All right, here comes Lee again.
Testing. Hello.
Keep talking.
Can the audience hear me if Graham can't hear me? Let's find that out. J-Man would like me to know that the upsetting thing is that he can see me, which does sound upsetting.
Still don't hear him.
So,
the audience, can you hear him?
Yes.
I can't.
The audience.
You can hear me, but I don't. This is fucking weird.
The audience can hear me. All right, guys. So this is between me and you since Graham can't hear me. Should Graham grow a handlebar mustache? I think is a question we should address right now while he's not listening. And I think everyone should be commenting about his handlebar mustache, and it would confuse the fuck out of him since he can't hear any of this. Hello, testing.
Still not hearing him. What is going on?
One of the government secrets is that they fuck with our broadcast every time.
So Lee's talking, but I cannot hear him, but you guys can. This is insane.
Graham, read the writing on the wall. The audience says you need to grow a handlebar mustache.
I don't get what I have to do. All right, I'm gonna leave and come back. Lee, you enjoy the crowd.
We're losing Graham now. Oh no, it's just me. Fuck. Now I'm gonna be like Garth in Wayne's World. Just Wayne. Graham. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Government Secrets. Now that we've gotten rid of Graham, we can really have some fun. He was always holding me back. That's the way I've always felt about that. Because every time I'd say something, he'd say, "That is not true." No, actually, I don't think he's ever said that. But clearly, Graham is having some issues. Well, then this is a good time for me to promote myself. Oh, I can tell you this. My book is now, PM Press, my publisher, just told me my book is now 50% off, as in half off.
I think that's a bargain.
Oh, he can hear me.
I had
Oh, my God.
We did it.
The book is 50% off if you use the coupon code GIFT, G-I-F-T, at pmpress.org. Graham, I don't know what happened here, but when I was talking with the audience, all of them said you should grow a handlebar mustache. That was established while you were away.
Oh, yeah. I think we need to have a GoFundMe then. Because I got to tell you, you want to talk about a government secret, Lee? I have a long, rich history of never having facial hair. I grew a beard once.
Really?
For a commercial. And I thought, because I've been shaving since I was like 13. I'm like, oh, I'm going to grow this really thick beard. I'm dark. It's going to be, I'll grow this in like a week. And after 2 weeks, I just had this scraggly, weird beard. And I was like, this is horrible. Like I should never.
Well, mine is mine's not one of those massive, like Irish fucking, living in the woods beard. So I wouldn't call mine impressive. It just does the job.
An Irish living in the woods beard. I think it's all pronounced in one word. Irish living in the woods beard.
Yeah.
An Irish living in the woods beard, which I got to tell you was the name of my doctoral thesis. And I tried to defend it, and that's why I don't have a PhD, because it made no sense. An Irish living in the woods beard.
Yep. Well, do we know the problem? It seems to happen every week now. Why you can't hear me?
I think it's a different problem each week.
Okay, good.
It's exciting.
Well, as long as we can. I've always said my goal in life is to fail differently every time. Fuck up in a new and exciting way every week.
For all you young viewers out there, fail differently. Find a different way to fail. I'm sure you were wondering, Lee, as was our audience, what's in my smoothie?
Of course. Or better yet, who's in your smoothie?
Well, an Irish woodsman beard I ground up. It's got I tried unsweetened cashew milk this time.
That sounds like the most boring thing I've ever heard. That sounds like a review of a John Tesh album. Just like listening to this sounds like it feels like drinking unsweetened cashew milk. Oh shit! I think I hurt Graham. Uh-oh, folks.
That's how you.
Oh God!
The John Tesh of smoothies. It really is.
Oh no! I really hurt Graham.
Well, Lee, John Tesh is an American treasure, and
this is the part where you tell me, well, I've worked with him a lot. He's actually my uncle, and I'm like, oh fuck, shit.
He gave me my start in show business, Lee, and he's like, Graham, this is how you become like unsweetened cashew milk. Holy shit!
Can you actually taste unsweetened cashew milk? I feel like that's
not
what,
really.
Yeah.
Yes, you can't. I mean, the only thing giving this thing flavor is the fruit I put in it. You know what I mean? But
I think the fruit's doing the heavy lifting, definitely,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's like John Tesh's backup singers or band or whatever. They're the actual musicians that are carrying this guy. They are the wind beneath his wings. You know what I mean?
So I think we should definitely spend our first 5 minutes on establishing whether you have succeeded in your quest against your car insurance company, or whether there's now 3 car insurance reps buried in your backyard, or what stage that is at. I know I know the fans want to know. They want to know what happened.
Government secrets, car insurance update. Yes. Breaking news. I've heard nothing from the insurance company. Nothing has happened. This guy called me Monday before the holiday, a week ago, and said, looks like your car's probably going to be totaled. The repairs are going to cost more than the total. But your car's still sort of drivable. Who
would have thought a car called a Leaf could be so easily totaled? I would have thought it would have been indestructible.
The 2017 Nissan Leaf, the John Tesh of automobiles.
the unsweetened cashew milk of cars. That's how they described it when they introed it at Truckamania or whatever. Monster Truckamania. And coming now, the cashew milk of the unsweetened cashew milk of cars.
Ladies and gentlemen, this Sunday, Big Daddy Don Carlos and his Wheels of Steel, Truckosaurus Rex, and the unsweetened cashew milk of automobiles. The 2017 Nissan Leaf. It is. I feel, God, this thing. So I've been driving this rental car now for over a week. And I feel so guilty to say this. And I'm half tempted to not say it, but it's just too funny. So my rental car is a Nissan Rogue. And I like it better than my Leaf. I hate to say that. I feel like a vegetarian that had a steak for the first time in 15 years and was like, yeah, this is great. like, shit, man, they're really cooking these up a storm now. This is great, man. Like,
I was vegetarian for years, and then I ate one live chicken, just bit its head off, and I haven't turned back since.
It was the capturing it and eating it while it squirmed, which was really the turn on for me. So, and look, this is my second electric car. I had a Kia Soul EV. It had a 3-year lease, and it was up this summer. And then I got this Nissan. And I got to tell you, my Kia Soul, I loved that car. That car was amazing. And the Leaf was all right. And we now know it's the unsweetened cashew milk of automobiles.
I love the difference in the names. It's like the ones that are the trucks that are going for the fucking hillbillies in North Dakota are named like Tundra and fucking Elk Cock, like, and meanwhile, Graham has owned a Leaf and a Soul. It's a Leaf and a Soul.
The Chevy Namaste.
And he also once had a Honda Gossamer Teardrops that he drove into the horizon.
The Toyota Chakra Crystal that runs on rainbow fumes and unicorn whispers. It's what powers it. Or you can have the Chevy Gunsteak, which is an amazing vehicle. So back to Insurance Gate car. So the guy said, and I was going to get another neat. I got to go back to the Kia Soul because the Kia Soul EV, the 2021s were supposed to come out this summer. And my 2017 Kia Soul EV, all electric, had like about 100 miles to the charge. And the 2021s were going to have 240 miles to the charge, which was like, well, that's it. That solves all the problems of living in Southern California. Because with 200 some yards, I can go all over the place. And there's fast charge. There's a great infrastructure of charging in California, right? So when the pandemic hit, they stopped making, like, all the car companies were like, we're not making cars anymore, or we're going to slow down production. And so the Kia was like, I don't know if we're coming out with another year with this. I don't know what we're going to do with this.
Right.
And, I moved and I got the Leaf. So anyway, and the Leaf was fine. I like having an electric car. So anyway, the Leaf, a tire hit it and it crumbled. So
for most cars, what would have been a fender bender turned yours actually 2D. Your car is 2D now. It lost the third dimension in the wreck.
I should honestly put photos up because they're pretty. It's amazing.
I can, so that we don't, so that people don't tune in thinking, I thought I was going to get government secrets and there are no government secrets. I can give, there's some good government secrets about car charging that we could throw in here. We could get into, well, for one thing, we could get into who killed the electric car.
Right.
We could get into the fact that many cities in America had a actually great functioning electric trolley system before that was destroyed by big oil and big automobiles.
Los Angeles being one of them. Los Angeles had an amazing public transportation system full of trolleys. And one of the tire companies and the oil, I think Standard Oil, went around and bought them all up and scrapped them. So that's a little gov seek.
Bought the actual trolleys?
Yes. And scrapped them and told Americans to buy cars.
It's almost, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's almost like in a capitalist society, money is power. It's almost like that.
I don't know, Lee. I think it's hard to, I can't quite put my finger on it. I mean, I don't know if that's what capitalism is or the needs and the will of the people to form a really functional society are like number 25 on the list. Behind, I want to make as much money as possible so I can have my own boat or yacht or island or plane.
So you're saying functioning society is on the list. That's exciting.
Oh, yes. There you go. Nothing gets a centrist more excited than there's a chance.
But also, I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. And it's funny because Richmond, Virginia is, especially when I was there. Now it's becoming a little artsy, a little more interesting. But when I was there, it was still good old South. A lot of hillbillies running around, and there was no sign of any electric infrastructure, no electric cars. No, the Hummer became quite popular when I was in high school, and I found out Richmond, Virginia the fucking first city to have a functioning electric trolley. Like the first ever test and functioning electric trolley. And I know that big oil and big automobile crushed it and took a, there's no remnants of it. But when I read that, I was like, no fucking way. Back in, it was, 100 years ago or something, but it's incredible that these infrastructures, it was actually like, hey, let's progress society. And big oil and big automobile were like, whoa there. What's that going to do for my bank account?
It's so maddening to think what America and the world could look like if we stayed on the track of like, hey, let's progress society. Let's make things better. We were doing things the old way. We've learned a new system. What's better for all of us? Like, what's better for all? Oh, hey, slavery's awful. Let's end that. Let's build an infrastructure. Let's have clean energy. Let's have all this stuff. Like we could do another automobile gov secret. Is the diesel engine was created by Adolf Diesel in the 30s to run on vegetable oil.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was, and he designed it for farmers. He was German, obviously. And then I don't know, something happened and the name Adolf became not popular anymore.
I don't remember. I think it was. I think someone performed really poorly in Eurovision, and he was named Adolf, and ever since then.
Yeah,
no one can name.
There was a guy that named Adolf that didn't do well, or I can't remember what it was.
Can't quite remember. I mean, I think it was the death knell for my neo-Nazi sketch group that it was called Adolf More Than You Can Chew.
Adolf More Than We Can Chew. Oh God!
Call back.
Oh, I love a good GovSeek riff callback. Government secret riff callback.
The last thing, I don't know if we're getting ready to move on, but the last thing that the last kind of government secret I can throw in here is there was like 2 years ago or something, or 3 years ago. It was back when Elon Musk was not tweeting every insane fucking awful thought that came into his skull, and instead was viewed as like just a guy helping the planet. And a hurricane was approaching Florida. I think it was like 3 years ago. And a hurricane was approaching Florida, and there was a scramble for everybody to get out of town, and gas stations had lines for hours and things like that. And Tesla elongated the battery life in all of the Teslas in Florida so that people could get out. And that was a lovely thing to do, but it made everyone realize, hold on, you're telling us the battery actually artificially empties? Like it says it's dead when it's not dead, and you can push a button at Tesla headquarters and elongate the life of our battery? That's fucking crazy. But of course it makes sense because they want them to buy the longer battery life, the more advanced cars, etc. And so it's like your iPhone, artificially dying.
I know. What a simpler time when we thought Elon Musk, and I was one of these people like, oh, the Tesla, and he's making solar panels, and oh, he's doing all this great stuff. And it's just like, oh no, he's just an evil, soulless bag of shit capitalist, like all the rest of those hoodie wearing maggots in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, he's found a way to basically make a lot of money from the fact that people now care about climate change.
Yeah. And still, again, like we could put 400 miles a range in all of our cars, but we won't, except when there's a crisis. And then that other fake, like, isn't he cool? No, he's not cool. Bill Gates isn't cool. Zuckerberg, they're all fucking assholes. Right. And they need to crumble like a leaf getting hit by a tire. Anyway, we'll wrap up this government segment. So they said they're probably going to give me the total tag on my car. And, which means, they're going to have to, because I put some money down on it and I got an extended warranty. I can get a refund on most of my extended warranty because they prorated apparently. And then what they're going to do because he's like, some people, if your car's still drivable, my car's still kind of drivable. He's like, some people keep it and then we just deduct the cost. And I was like, and I've driven it twice. I'm like, this car is not safe at all. Like it is going to.
What does kind of still drivable mean?
You can turn it on. You can drive it.
Please, you're moving it like the Flintstones, the feet through the bottom.
Yeah. Yes. You just take out the floorboards and do that. But no, it drives, but it just doesn't sound great. And yeah, it makes a lot of weird, like I can drive it in traffic. It's still legal. The lights work. It turns on, but I'm like,
it's still legal. That should be your decider as to whether you're cool with this car. It's still legal in some states.
It's sort of on some roads, it's kind of legal. So I feel safe. So I'm like, I said to this guy last week, I go, dude, I just scrapped the thing. And I said, what's the process? He goes, if we get that, we got to hear back from the appraiser. When that happens, we'll literally just give you a check and we take the car, you sign the title over to us. But I'm like, all right, I had to finance some of it. So I'm just hoping they don't come back insurance company style and go, yeah, here's a check for $9, good luck. And it's like, oh,
right. You might want to ask them how much this check is for.
Yeah, they haven't come back with a price yet. So this was the Monday before Thanksgiving. It was like, we'll probably call you.
They're like, well, you get a vintage pair of swimming trunks. You're like, thanks.
They give you a vintage pair of swimming trunks.
Like with the one piece with the stripes on it. And they're like, hang on to this.
This is great. It'll appreciate in value. What if they were like dumb the other way and we're like, well, we're only going to pay you in these things called Bitcoin. I don't know what they're worth. But there's 100 of them. Dude. Yeah, sorry, it didn't work out.
That'd be amazing. Just once you get the insurance company that's dumb in the wrong direction.
Yes.
They're like, so it's only 9 Bitcoin. I don't know what that's worth.
Yeah, it's probably worth like $6,000 or something. That's cool. I'll just take, no worries, man. You tried. I'd just be like, later, bitch. Just I'm going to buy 10 Nissan Leafs that can explode.
Listen, it's not much, but it's just these 3 original Fabergé eggs. And we don't know, but you could probably get something for them down at the flea market.
I don't know. Is this Action Comics #1? Is that worth anything? I don't know. Just take it.
It's got a super guy on the front. Kids like the super guys. So.
Bobby Ruth or something. Baby Ruth or something. I don't know. It's a baseball with this guy's name on it. I don't know. Just have fun. So that's where we're at. I was like, they're not going to get this shit squared away before Thanksgiving. So I've just been driving around in my rental car.
Living the dream.
So that's that one. And that is, I think it was technically a GovSeek because we put in there the ripping up of the trolley system and Adolf Diesel's car in there.
Listen, I'm counting it. I'm fucking counting it. I don't care what anybody says.
Government Secrets, episode 18, first segment. Folks, this is Government Secrets with Lee Camp and Graham Elwood. Please, download it, give it positive reviews, like it on iTunes and Spotify, share it on your social media. If you're watching it on either one of our YouTube channels, hit the like button, subscribe to our channels if you're a fan of one of ours but new to the other guy. So do all those things with Government Secrets, ladies and gentlemen.
Because I don't mean to brag, but we are bigger than ever before. And you should tell your friends that you were one of the early adopters. All right, because that'll get you social credit. Yeah,
you'll be like, I listened back in the day before they.
I've been listening since episode 13 or 14. They didn't know which number it was. That's how far back I go.
Yeah, but they refused to keep track back when they did that. All right, Lee. So what's your first GovSeek?
I was going to get into because a lot of people don't realize that. Well, so I'll start by saying a lot of people that view this know that you and I have had an impressive amount of suppression and censorship on what we do. There is, I don't mean to reveal anything crazy here, but there's a reason I've never been on the Tonight Show.
What?
So performers have this, and I think we've talked about this before, this first part, that performers have a kind of a wall up for what they talk about, a glass ceiling. And if they go beyond it in terms of questioning the corporate state, talking about things that are not allowed on CNN, then you can still achieve some success. I'm not saying you and I aren't successful, but it's often the kind of quasi nether reaches of the YouTubes. It's not on NBC at prime time, and that goes with a lot of performers from the past as well. Now, almost all of them, without exception, became famous before they started pushing the limits. And then when they started pushing the limits, it was too much for corporate media to allow, for the corporate state to allow, for all of these people, the CIA, the FBI. It was starting to get threatening to the kind of unfettered capitalist structure that runs our country. And, there are some very obvious examples that you can point to where it's like very clear. For example, the Smothers Brothers, hugely famous, had a hugely successful TV show. I believe it was 1 or 2 seasons. I think it was maybe the end of the second season. And this is a time when there's like 3 TV channels. So having a huge TV show is millions of people watching. It's not like now where you're like, I'm on channel 912 and we have a total of 7 viewers, which is 70% higher than most TV channels. This is half of America is watching the Smothers Brothers. And they became more and more anti-Vietnam War. I can't remember which one, but one of them was even, maybe Tommy was very adamant. And as they started speaking out more and more against the Vietnam War, this hugely successful show was just pulled off the air because it didn't matter that they were getting endless views, that people loved it. It was questioning the U.S. state and what we're doing around the world, and that was too much. But kind of a more squishy example where you can't be like, wow, that's so clear what happened there. The 2 big, huge ones that, I think people need to know about is, Jim Morrison and Lenny Bruce. And both of them are more extreme because they end up in the death of the performer as opposed to the Smothers Brothers just get canceled. But they really, yes, they both OD'd on drugs, but both of them were kind of driven to their deaths, or at least driven out of the main. For Jim Morrison, it was driven out of the mainstream, which, then he OD'd. But with Lenny Bruce, it was really driven to his death because he lost all ability to make an income. Mm-hmm. And, for anybody who doesn't know about, most people know Jim Morrison and the Doors pretty well. Not everyone knows the history of Lenny Bruce, but Lenny Bruce, hugely successful comedian, but got successful on kind of PC, we'll call it, although that term didn't exist then. Kind of nice humor that was allowed on late night TV, and got famous from that and was touring around and became more and more edgy. Started going after the religious institutions, which back then you couldn't question. Started saying words, naughty words that are not allowed on the stage. And they started arresting him repeatedly for speech, for the things he was saying on the stage. And it basically, the whole system decided that he was too threatening. A comedian going on stage and questioning our systems, our state, our religious institutions was too threatening. It couldn't be allowed. And so they started arresting him regularly at his performances. And I don't want to keep blabbering. I can let you go jump in here.
Well, no, you bring up a lot of great points, which is first of all, one of the reasons why we've talked about this before, but comedians like you, me, Jimmy Dore, Ron Placone, whatever, why we're not on network TV, why we're not on the Tonight Show.
By the way, you listed those as if there's a whole long list I won't get into here. No, that's it. You covered it.
Those 4 people, these 5 of us, like, because obviously to me, like the ruling class learned from the 60s and 70s. So just to give a little into this government secret, to give people a little history lesson. So Hollywood was run by the studio system through the mid to late 60s. And then the studio system started to collapse. And if you read, there's a great book to read, Easy Riders Raging Bulls, where the 70s was this amazing era in Hollywood where you had movies like Apocalypse Now, you had The Godfather, you had movies that really show, like Apocalypse Now really questioned. Yeah. You had The Deer Hunter that was like, war's awful. And then Hollywood got bought up by the big corporations in the 80s. So, and that's why there are almost no, and today, with all these streaming services and all these options, you cannot find anything that truly questions the CIA, the American military industrial complex. You've got shit like Jack Ryan. It's like, isn't the CIA cool? And I bring that up because they realize with shows like the Smothers Brothers, and the Smothers Brothers started calling out the Vietnam War. So that's when Laugh-In started. They put Laugh-In out there to be the giggly soda pop version of the Smothers Brothers. It's a sketch variety show with no teeth in it.
Right.
No social commentary, just dancing and bikinis and nonsense. And while the Smothers Brothers, they ended up throttling. And the same thing with Lenny Bruce. He was questioning things. And it wasn't that he was swearing, because there was people like Buddy Hackett who were the most foul-mouthed comics ever, but they were foul-mouthed on, in the Catskills and in the late night blue shows. Yeah. They didn't challenge any societal norms. They didn't challenge organized religion. Like, I mean, Lenny Bruce I remember I watched a documentary on him. Plus I remember watching I was like 12 years old when video stores started. I went and watched the Dustin Hoffman Lenny movie, which is really powerful.
Yep.
And he talked about cops arresting him because he was calling out the Catholic Church, and the cops literally had the Ash Wednesday thing on their forehead. Like, these Catholic cops were like, you don't get to question that. And that's why they just kept arresting him, because he was
also, I think a lot of it, some of the stuff had to do with calling out systemic racism, although he didn't use the term systemic racism. But
well, yeah, his philosophy, and you can agree with this or disagree with this, was, I'm going to say the N-word over and over so it has no more power anymore. And he would make jokes that made people uncomfortable. There's a one time, when he was like at his height in like the late 60s, he was performing in New York City, and everyone was like, you got to come see this guy. And so Wilt Chamberlain, who was at the height of his fame and celebrity and winning championships, came to see him. And I think Wilt Chamberlain was like smoking a cigarette, or maybe even, a joint or whatever. And Lenny's like, oh shit, can I get it? Can I get a hit of that? And in the show, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Lenny's so edgy, performers never do this. And Lenny said, oh man, you N-word lipped it, which was like an old racist term. And he said it, and everyone kind of got uncomfortable and laughed. And then he talked about, in this very brilliant way, about why that word was so uncomfortable and what it meant, and why, and his philosophy, and you can say this is effective or not, was to blow that, to show how awful systemic racism was. And
yeah, and it probably was, this doesn't excuse it, but times have changed a little bit, and this probably was the same time that Dick Gregory, who obviously is black, so there's a huge difference there. But I think it was his first book, maybe was just titled The N-Word, not not the N word, but the N word. And it was meant to, I mean, the reason he titled it that was kind of to force white people to deal with it. And I'm sure Lenny Bruce was heavily influenced by that kind of thing going on.
Yeah, it was this time of challenging and questioning everything. I mean, Richard Pryor had several comedy albums that had that in the title. And so he was making people uncomfortable. White America was really uncomfortable during that time, as well. A lot of them should have been. And as well, white America's uncomfortable today. I mean, with the George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter and white people really having to like look at question their white privilege and like, man, and Lenny Bruce was doing that and got arrested for it. And you see then, as we look to what media is like today, I mean, I remember when Ron and I were out in DC and we were on Redacted Tonight, we talked about how we were all just, and you said to Ron and I, like before we started shooting, you were like, you guys are only like the third or fourth comics or fifth comics I've ever had on this show, because there's no comics today that are talking about real political stuff. We were like, oh yeah, every comic has their 3 Trump jokes,
right?
But they won't, they even comics that I like sort of respect go on stage and are like, talk about how great Obama was. And we're just like,
yeah. And I think a lot of that's kind of a combination of, or I think a lot of it is probably ignorance just of the reality. You know, they've centered their life around getting their news from CNN or NPR, and they don't move past that. But there's definitely a percentage that are smart enough to know, you know, I can really address these issues, or I can be far more successful. So,
well, you look at the Netflix specials today. Look at the comedy Netflix specials. It's all about some guy. Oh, I'm a boozy partier. I'm a slutty girl that sleeps around. There's no one in there talking about anything real.
Except and that's interesting to have seen how Netflix has also been locked down, as has most of the rest of the internet. When Netflix was younger, one of their most viewed documentaries was they had the Zeitgeist films by Peter Joseph, and those were getting, you know, millions of views on there and elsewhere. And nowadays, you could never picture Netflix like paying to acquire the Zeitgeist films. I mean, that would be far too edgy for them. Obama is one of their content creators or content, whatever he is, producers now.
Yeah, and then you're also seeing. So I the more I've been, you know, doing my show, Political Vigilante, and this show, and paying more attention, I'm now really watching the messaging they're giving us. And you go on any of the streaming platforms, Hulu, Amazon Prime, HBO, Netflix, whatever, and it's like revenge, really ultra violent, isn't America great, and be a slacker. Like isn't being a slack. Those the comedies are all like, oh, these dipshit slackers, because they saw the power back in the 60s and 70s. They saw the power of the Smother Brothers and the power of Lenny Bruce to like get people united together, and they can't have that. They have to have us divided and distracted and afraid and fighting with each other. That's why, what is it? The Social Experiment. They talk about at the very end of it, like we're all put in these silos designed to get us into civil war. I mean, like these revenge stories and like so brutal and so violent. And there's no, and they celebrate, there's all this stuff with Obama now on everything. Wasn't he great? And now that Biden won, oh, yay, ding dong, the witch is dead. You know, we have had no racism war prior to Trump, and now it'll all be over again. And it goes back to these, and now they I mean, like the CIA has script approval on like big Marvel movies and stuff like that. And you see,
and I think we got into some before, but any movie where you see any kind of large military equipment, unless it looks full CGI and is some alien spacecraft, but if it's even up armored Humvees and those kind of things, like that means that the military and the CIA had script approval, because the only way a movie studio gets to use that shit is to go to the CIA and say, we want to make this. And they've gotten more sophisticated. It used to be, even up through probably a lot of the 90s, that you would see these kind of full propaganda movies where it's like, the military's so great and they're killing this evil terrorist bad guy. But now it's far more sophisticated. They realize that you see a movie that may have a lot of moral qualms in it, and like, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. But there's just kind of a hint of like, well, the CIA is mostly doing good. The CIA did some bad, but really it was to help America. Like, it's not as cut and dry. So a lot of people walk out of these movies not thinking, wow, I just saw some propaganda. They walk out thinking like, oh, that was a, nuanced take on the CIA. But they know what the fuck they're doing. They've realized that the propaganda full on just like CIA, yeah, wasn't going to last. And so they've moved on to a far more sophisticated Hollywood.
Well, the sophistication like you're talking about is it's always, do the ends justify the means? Yes, is always the answer to that question. That question, does the CIA's ends, I don't know, we're breaking a lot of laws, and is it moral? But the end, right before the credits roll, you know what? Yeah, it was worth it. It's fucking unbelievable.
And it's always a guy trying to come to terms with it, be like, man, I don't know what we did over there. And then his friend's like, listen, we couldn't have done anything else. Like, yeah.
The end, America. Fuck yeah. Like, it's just.
There's this great, actually, I'll loop this all together back to Biden. Although I do want to say something else about Jim Morrison in a minute. But back to Biden, the guy he just hired picked for some position, a CIA. I'm sorry, I don't have the name with me, but a former CIA guy. There's an interview with him that the clip is just a minute and a half long, but his interview with him talking about his time at the CIA, and he's talking about trying to convince a student who walked up to him at a job fair and said, "You're with the CIA, they do awful stuff," and he was like, "Yeah, but we do it to protect America," or something like that. And then the student goes, "Well, what's the number one thing you're looking for in a candidate to work for you?" And the guy goes, "Integrity." And the student goes, "Integrity? But you guys proudly say you lie, cheat, and steal." And this is Joe Biden's new pick for whatever position. He says to the student, "Yeah, we do, but never to each other and only to help America."
That's so sweet.
The number one thing the CIA looks for is integrity.
I love that. That's just like the drug dealer that's like, "Hey, I'm not going to sell in my own neighborhood."
Right.
You're so sweet.
It's like the murderer who's like, "Listen, we have a code of conduct amongst hitman. All right, hitman. We don't get in each other's way. All right, we respect each other."
It's so that like. I love the people that do awful shit, but then have this ridiculous realization that and they sell it to you, and some people are naive enough to go, "Oh, it's like, hey man, like Ted Bundy, he murdered those women. It was awful, but he didn't eat them like Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, he's not a monster." Like, yeah.
Listen, he had a code of conduct. All right.
Yeah. He had integrity. I mean, there's certain lines you don't cross when you're bashing women's heads in and killing them. You don't eat them. Like,
you know what I liked? He always dressed well. All right. It's about integrity. He dressed well, dignity. He had his shirts ironed.
There was some class to it. He was a clean cut young guy, wasn't a filthy hippie. I mean, yeah, he was a mass murderer that was horrific and he lied to everybody, but he wasn't horrible. Like,
he wasn't horrible like Charles Manson. You're like, he killed like 30 more people than Charles Manson. It's like, yeah, but Charles Manson's shirts weren't ironed.
Yes. It's
okay.
Like, so if Ted Bundy had a swastika carved into the middle of his head, then you would be scared of him. But right now, because he's good looking, it's all right. And that mentality that I think, going back full circle to all this, is by design. The CIA, as you've pointed out, has gotten way more sophisticated versus just blatant propaganda. People might be too wise to blatant propaganda. So they've realized, and I'm sure they've studied this, and tortured people to get this information, whatever evil shit they've done, to go, wow, this is how we water it down. And part of that is lesser of two evils, getting people, how much can I keep pushing these people? How much crap will they take if I just hide it just enough? It's like the people dancing in the streets for Joe Biden. And for the next 4 years, all we're going to hear is, well, at least he's better than Trump. I had somebody say that, a neoliberal comedian said that to me. Well, I mean, Obama was at least better than Bush. And I was like, not if you lived in Yemen, Syria, or Libya. He wasn't. They're like, so the CIA is like, oh, see, look, we can sell people on this lesser of two evilism, which means we're just keep moving the line on how much evil we can get away with.
Right. Right.
Oh, I can push these people further and further. And then
right now, Nixon would be viewed as a left-wing Democrat.
Oh, I know. Absolutely. Oh, hell, those pie in the sky Nixon things. Oh boy. Like, anyway, Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison. So some people might not know they know about Jim Morrison. They know the Doors. They know they were edgy, even in their time, but they might not know that, like, towards the end there, I think most of it occurred in his final year. And, final year, the dude was like 27, 26 probably. But they went to perform, and they were becoming dangerous in a variety of ways. I mean, he, through his behavior and somewhat through his songs, he was promoting drug culture. He was promoting, it was anti-war stuff. He was promoting kind of free love, the stuff that went against these church traditions of you marry someone and then the two of you only fuck each other forever. And this type of thing. And he was becoming very powerful. It's not that there weren't other bands saying this stuff, other musicians, other artists, but it has to do with the level you get at. Another one would be John Lennon. But it has to do with the level you get at combined with what you're saying. So the Doors had gotten to be to the level of like the American Beatles, and they're playing these massive concerts, and they have songs that are, The Unknown Soldier and songs that are anti-Vietnam, and the things he's saying between the songs are controversial for the corporate state. And so they arrested them multiple times, at least twice, following shows. But the one that they go forward and continue to prosecute him for is a show, I believe, in Florida, where they claim he unzipped his pants and took his cock out.
Right. And
there's actually no, this concert was incredibly photographed. There's photographs of every second of it, and there's no photograph of him with his dick out. There's a photo of him pretending as if he's taking out his dick. And anyway, they pushed this trial through in Florida. I believe it was in Florida. And he's facing, years in prison, or, maybe even just a year. But it's very, anybody facing that kind of shit. And I'm not going to act like Jim Morrison had his life together. I mean, this guy was completely fucked up, drank, chugged vodka as he rolled over in the morning. So it's not like he had his shit together, but he wasn't doing anything that deserved prison time. And the stress of all of this, he goes away to France to get away from it. He balloons up and becomes much larger than ever before. And, he's drinking from morning to night, and he's doing drugs, but it seems quite, doing hard drugs. And it seems quite kind of, it's not a far cry from what happened to Lenny Bruce, which is they put immense stress on these people who already have immense stress because they're massive celebrities. And they put the stress of the state going against them. And people who are already using a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol use more to deal with the stress. And at least in the case of Lenny Bruce and Jim Morrison, ultimately die from it. So, there's a lot of similarities there as to how they became threatening and what they were talking about.
Well, yeah, and I think the other thing they learned too was like, boy, if we assassinate these people, they really become more martyrs, and all these questions are asked. Whether if we badger these people and push them into a corner, eventually they'll OD, they'll drink themselves to death, or OD like Lenny Bruce did with heroin, and Jim Morrison I think just drank himself to death, and they're like, oh, so then we can say, oh boy, the addict, couldn't deal with it, and then we're not saying like, oh no, the state killed him, because like they learned so much from the Kennedy assassination of like, boy, too many people are asking too many questions. No way. We have to just crush them, crush their careers, push them aside, force them to self-destruct. That's the best way to do it, man.
And it's a double-edged sword or whatever. And, it serves two purposes, because not only are you probably pushing them closer to death if they're already addicts, but you're maligning their name as much as possible. You're trying to make sure that a Jim Morrison doesn't become a hero to the whole nation. He might be a hero to a subsect, but they were so massive that he was becoming a hero to young people across the country. And if you can say, oh no, he's taking his dick out on stage, he's doing all these awful things, then you can, at least tamp that down, if not ultimately cause his death. But
yeah, and that's what they did. And that's part of that whole, that's why media today, even with all these options, is just pushing the capitalists and the war machine and the American exceptionalism. They push that. And that's why your show, my show get throttled. I mean, like I've lost 1,000 subscribers in the last month. I go live 4 to 5 days a week. I drop between 15 to 20 clips a week, usually 3 clips a day. And you're really going to tell me that my subscriber count on YouTube has gone down?
Yeah.
Like, it's not possible putting out that much content. It's just impossible. And yet they keep doing it, and they're trying.
Yeah, I get the same. And by the way, these tech platforms definitely speak to each other and speak about practices that are working for them. And I've had exactly the same thing. I mean, my YouTube is basically stagnant, but so I don't think they're letting it grow. But the most obvious one is my Facebook, which when Trump got elected had 335,000 followers, and I was gaining between 4,000 and 6,000 a week. And it just stopped, and it's only gone down ever since. And so it just slowly trickles down, and now they have it down even below 330,000. But you're telling me that, I'll have posts that I'll put up a meme or something that does well and gets a few thousand shares. And you're telling me I somehow lose subscribers while I have a very popular post out there. And it was kind of the funniest one was I had my first thing go viral. They must have changed the algorithm or took the throttle off or something. I had my first thing go viral in 4 years. I put up a meme of Jeff Bezos about how much money he makes, and it gets 80,000 shares, seen by millions. And so I guess the number of people following my page must have beat whatever it is they have that keeps it down. Because all of a sudden I jumped back. I gained enough followers that I basically jumped back to where I was 4 years ago. And yet then they sped up the decrease so that now what it took me 4 years to lose as they were slowly suppressing things, I've now lost in like a matter of weeks.
It's unreal, man. Like literally a month ago, I was at 73,700, like on my way to 75,000. And now I'm at 72,800.
Yeah. I mean, and back when these things were not tamped down, I would never you just don't ever decrease unless you were to do a video completely antithetical to everything you stand for. You might have slower growth. But these things back when they were allowed to grow were always growing. I mean, It's just natural.
Yeah, especially if you were posting content consistently, it would just keep growing. That's the and you can't tell me, oh, our analytics we're having no, you guys are doing this intentionally. I don't buy. I talked to this Google rep a couple months ago, and I don't think he's nefarious. I think he's a decent guy, and he's trying to do his best job. And he's like, oh, we get 1 million something like 1 million hours of content uploaded every minute or something, whatever. I mean, I get it. But so we have to use robots now more, or computers, because of the pandemic and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, I'm sure he believes what he's saying because that's what he's told. But somewhere high up, they're flipping a switch. Well, I mean,
well, so I actually did speak to, I can't say who, because he doesn't want it to get out there that he has contacts and knows this, but he has friends at least one or two friends that are really kind of close to top echelon of Facebook. And they told him, they were like, dude, it is the Wild West. They're like, we can do whatever the fuck we want, and no one asks any questions. If we want to shadow ban someone so that they never gain followers again, he's like, we do shit like that all the time. It's just there is no higher governing body at Facebook that's like, wait a second, don't mess with that guy's page. He's worked very hard on it. Could you imagine Zuckerberg in a meeting being like, some of these people worked hard on these pages. Don't hurt them.
They worked hard and they actually generate revenue for this company. So we need to protect their audience and respect and protect their First Amendment rights. No. Well, I don't trust Google as far as I can throw them, because they've been working with the CIA since 2011.
Something I covered on a recent show. I don't know if you saw this news story. It snuck through the cracks. You know how the CIA has a deal with Amazon for $600 billion? So they recently announced their latest cloud computing software deals, multiple billions. They don't know the number, but probably $20 billion. And they spread the contracts amongst Amazon, Google, IBM, Oracle, and I think one other. But so basically, we now know that the entirety of the big tech, world is in debt to the CIA to the tune of billions of dollars.
Shocking. I'm shocking that's the world we live in, Lee. I think everybody's pretty honest and fair. All right, so we want to move on to one or two more.
Yeah, let's do one more. I know we started late, so
we did start a little late, but let's all right, government secret segment number 3. Beep 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 beep. Bum, 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 brrr. I don't know what the last one was. So, well, there's two choices here. One, well, we were talking about Biden's cabinet, but let's real quick, that guy Blinken, his stepfather has ties to Ghislaine Maxwell. Anyway, so it's
I didn't know that. Yeah, no, Biden's cabinet so far is garbage. I mean, it's Neera Tanden, it's Flournoy, who's these are all people who have been full on part of the war complex, promoting and endorsing all wars done by Democratic presidents since going back to Bill Clinton. There's not a one of them has been like, the Iraq war was wrong, or the Afghanistan, bring the troops home.
None of them. Like, oil lobby people, obvious, unbelievable. Heidi Heitkamp. I mean, horrible. Like, and so this guy Blinken, his stepfather was a Holocaust survivor, and there's this very amazing story. He got rescued by African-American U.S. soldiers, and it's like, oh wow. I mean, like that's an amazing story. And isn't that how one of the things that's great about America? A guy who's descendant of slavery was now freeing people from Hitler's tyranny and the Holocaust. Okay, great. But he was friends with Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, who was also in Mossad. Come on.
And Robert Maxwell was kind of viewed as like royalty in Israel, but he was also very high up in the social echelon in Britain as well, right?
Yes. So the British royal family, of course, that we know has ties with Prince Andrew to Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein. Also, the British royal family. There's a whole nother story. Jimmy Savile was a TV personality that was uncovered, was a pedophile, and he was helping.
Yeah, longtime pedophile, but people need to realize that if they haven't been to Britain, Jimmy Savile is not like a small name. This is a guy who for 30 years basically owned British television. I mean, he was one of the main, he's like Larry King or something, one of the main faces of British television.
Yeah, he was a huge, like everybody knew who he was, like Johnny Carson or something at Carson's, you know, in the 70s and 80s, like Carson's like fame, like he was the guy. Back again, like you were talking about earlier, when there was only 2 or 3 channels. And so if you had a hit show on one of those channels, you had, you know, 30 to 40% of the whole country watching you.
Yeah.
So there's all these ties like that. And then, so that's just, I just wanted to throw that just a quick.
So good people, you're saying good people. Yeah.
Solid people. And
I said when Trump got into office and he was picking his cabinet, I used to talk about how I don't know like where he's finding these fucking creatures to be in his cabinet. I think he flips over rotting logs, and that's mainly where he finds most of his cabinet. Well, Biden is now flipping over the maggots and the bugs underneath that, and that's where he's finding his cabinet members.
Yeah, so you're the larva underneath the maggot.
You know when a tick starts sucking on the blood of like a roach, that's you.
You're the diseased cockroach tick blood.
Which, as I know you can tell everyone, one of my favorite metal bands.
I'm not a metal guy, but that one album they did, I love it. So
I mean, it put you on Touch to Shame. It really did.
God, wouldn't it be great if his cabinet was actually unsweetened cashew milk? Like, just like, all right, they're not evil. They're just, you know, municipal workers are just like, all right, fine,
yeah.
You know.
Wouldn't it be great if the worst complaint you could have for Joe Biden's cabinet was like, this guy's kind of not done anything in his life. Like, he was just the guy who like stamps the papers at the like fucking garbage depot. And you're like, he's never done anything important. And everybody would be like, that's great. That's so much better than what he could be.
Oh, this person just ran the libraries. Perfect. That's all. I don't need him to do more than that. Just hold on. So yeah, that's who Blinken is. Real quick, that's his stepfather, has ties to Robert Maxwell. His stepfather was basically one of the last people to talk to Robert Maxwell before he mysteriously slipped and fell off of his boat in 1991. You know, when
everybody falls off the boats. Okay. Just like rich people, their planes often spontaneously explode in the sky. Just ask John F. Kennedy Jr.
Yes, it's totally plausible. People get despondent and hang themselves with paper t-shirts. It's totally, it's real. It's something we should all believe. So that's just another glimpse. And this guy Blinken is being tapped for the State Department. Great. So ExxonMobil was running the State Department under Trump, and now a global pedophile ring will be running it under Biden. So it's exciting times.
And the guy that Biden has selected to run his U.S. Agency of Global Media transition. So this is basically the guy that is in charge of all media for the Biden transition, is named Richard Stingel. And there's a lovely clip of him online saying, you know, when I was at the State Department, he's in a panel in front of an audience. He says, when I was at the State Department, they called me the chief propagandist. And, you know, we haven't talked right now much about propaganda, but I'm not opposed to propaganda. I think it's a good thing. I think that our government should use more propaganda on our people. I think it's a very good thing to have that. And yeah, that's the guy. Literally, you can watch video of him saying the government should lie to you to fill your heads with bullshit so that they can continue their raping and pillaging.
That's my boy, Dickie Stingle. Come on now.
You know, dude, Dickie Stingle, I thought was only what happened to me when I walked through the woods that time. But, you know, I went off the path and it was a bad idea. I should have stuck with the path because
if you don't want to get a Dickie Stingle, don't stay on the path. Stay on the path of righteousness. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious our audience knows you and I are both very much pro government propaganda. That's the whole purpose of this show.
Yeah.
We really want people to know it's okay. A little propaganda is not bad.
Well, you know, at the end of every Government Secrets episode, we say, don't tell anyone else about the stuff we talked about.
Keep this under your hat.
Keep it under wraps.
Keep this episode, just keep it on the DL. If you know what I'm talking about, give it a little Dickie Stingle. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little side, just a little, well, I'm sure every week we'll have a little section on how horrible Biden's cabinet is going to be.
Right.
But I wanted to talk about the Federal Reserve because the United States has.
Hold on, there's no secrets there, are there?
No. This is just like, look at the work they're doing. It's really good work. It's like it's just a history lesson. Like,
good to hear.
They were started at the same time the Girl Scouts were. It's good stuff. Just real quick, the Federal Reserve.
They actually most of the Fed's money comes from those coconut cookies. They what are they called? The Samoan cookies? Yeah,
those are great.
Yeah.
If somehow the CIA or the Federal Reserve or the military could figure out how to get a taste of Girl Scout cookie money, you know they would. They're like, you know they would. Which is why, like, literally Raytheon is working with the Girl Scouts. Whole nother side thing. But so the Federal Reserve, just so people know, we have printed more money since the pandemic than the United States has printed in its entirety.
Really?
Yes. Which doesn't mean the dollar is going to be collapsing at all. Don't worry about it. It's totally good. That's good for the economy. Just print.
And let me just add in here. When you say print, you really mean created out of fucking thin air. Yes. Most money is 90-some%. I think it's closer to 98% or something. Is never printed. It's an idea in a computer somewhere. Ones and zeros somewhere say that someone has this imaginary wealth that does not exist and never existed and is not even, because I think a lot of people think that printed money is what really matters, but we don't even print most of it. So really it is truly nothingness. It is beyond just the meaningless pieces of paper. It's just an idea. So yeah.
It's like when people are like, Bitcoin, it's digital money. What the hell is that? I'm like, that's what we all operate on right now. Do you have the dollars in your bank account? No, you get direct deposit from your job. You use your card to pay it. You pay everything digitally, or maybe you write a check, which again is just digitally moving money from here or there. And since we came off the gold standard in 1971, we've been operating on fiat currency. So even fiat currency is only a 49-year-old experiment. So the fact that people are like, Bitcoin's a lot of hooey, like, well, so's fiat currency. But let's get to the history.
Very true. And I just want to say gold currency, completely different because it's shiny.
It's shiny and pretty. But back then, like before 1971, a United States dollar would say a gold treasury note. So like whatever the amount was, let's say we had $1 trillion in gold at Fort Knox. That's how many bills we had in circulation. So it was backed up by the value of gold. So we don't have that anymore. So this meant back then there was a limit to the amount you could create. There's a limit to the amount of gold out there. Now, granted, gold is meaningless too. It's just a shiny rock, but at least it meant that there's only a certain amount. Yes. Which is, again, this isn't a segment about Bitcoin, but why people are calling Bitcoin the new gold, digital gold. There's only 21 billion Bitcoins in circulation right now. And they mint new ones every day, but every 7 years they have it. They cut it back. So they're keeping it like gold. There's only a certain amount of gold on the planet. You can't make gold in a lab or whatever. So, but I bring this up because the Federal Reserve in 1907, there was the San Francisco earthquake, 06, 07, somewhere in there. And when that happened, the economies collapsed and there was a run on the bank. So we've heard that term before. And that's when people the economy goes bad and people would go to the bank. And this happened in Greece recently in the last 10, 20 years. It might happen here very shortly, where people go to the banks, and the banks, of course, loan out more money than they've got in cash reserves, right? Let's say a bank. And so now they're doing it in crazy amounts. That's what created one of the reasons they created the last housing crash in 2008. A bank would have, let's say, $100 million in physical cash reserves, and they would loan out, $1 billion.
Right. So yeah, the term that, and it's one of the most harmful things, is fractional reserve banking, meaning the bank has 1/10 usually. That's, I think, the norm. 1/10 of what they're actually giving out in actual reserve. So if everyone goes there demanding their money, not only do they not have enough, they don't have anywhere near enough. They have 1/10 of what is out there actually on reserve.
Yes. So then when people get panicked because of some calamity or whatever, then they go to the bank saying, I want my cash out. And that's what's called a run on the bank. So this happened after the earthquake. And this, I was watching some history about the Federal Reserve. This had kept happening in the 1800s. Several times in the 1800s, there was run on banks. And JP Morgan Chase, the actual man, was like, well, this isn't good. And he was basically running the world from his study in Manhattan.
But he was a good guy. He really just wanted to help people, I think.
All those guys are good. Rockefeller, solid guys, good.
Well, and if you look up at their Wikipedia, I guarantee you the first word next to their name is philanthropist.
Yes. That they paid to have in front of their name when it should say just murderer.
Right.
Like. So he was like, well, people keep running on the banks. This isn't good. And slowly he kept having this thing basically. So then in 1913, the Federal Reserve was created because they had a secret meeting. And most people, I thought this for a long time. Oh, the Federal Reserve is like, it's the bank of the government. It's Congress backs this. No, it's just a bunch of individual bankers were told, we need to be able to loan banks money to backstop them basically when there's these runs. Right. So we're getting these other bankers involved, and then we'll just do this. And then now we can do this with the federal government. And so the Federal Reserve is just basically a bunch of bankers. It's a banking cartel.
Yeah.
It's a central bank, and nobody wanted a central bank back then. That's why they called it, we'll call it the Federal Reserve. So it was basically just a marketing ploy, because people back then in the late 1800s, early 1900s didn't want a centralized bank.
Right.
That's what they created so that they could then do what they want with their money. And back in the government, Woodrow Wilson signed it into law in 1913.
And the banks that make up the Federal Reserve are private banks. Now, I don't know the numbers. I used to know them, but I haven't looked them up recently. But there's a certain billions of dollars that the Federal Reserve basically makes from, interest or whatever else. And most of that is given back to the U.S. government. But a percentage is kept by these banks. So it's whatever it is, 5 or 10% or whatever. So these private banks make like $5 to $10 billion. And I might have those numbers wrong, but I know it's somewhere in that realm. Maybe it's up to 20, but they make billions of dollars simply by creating out of thin air the U.S. government's money, America's money. And so the idea that you've got these people making billions of dollars just on the creation of our money is like fucking ridiculous.
It's so preposterous. So when you look at something like the CARES Act that had buried in it $4.25 trillion to Wall Street, what you're saying, to clarify for our audience, is then the Federal Reserve created this money and then kept a little taste. They get a little big.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I gotta get a little taste for myself. Yeah, of course.
Something just for the effort. You know what I mean? I'm not greedy. Just a little something. You know what I mean?
I just got to make sure it's good stuff.
Yeah, I can create money for you out of thin air, but I got to create a little something. I mean, just for my time, for my trouble. Call it
for my trouble. And something else that is incredibly important when you talk about the Federal Reserve or the creation of money is that for every dollar that is created, that you owe a certain amount of interest before it's paid back. Money is created when it's loaned out. So in the moment it's loaned out, it comes into existence. And that's then owed back plus 5%, let's say 5% interest. So that means that for every dollar that's created, instantly $1.05 is owed, meaning there is never the amount in circulation that is actually owed back. If all the money were paid back immediately, there wouldn't be enough money. And that's why you see debt spiraling out of control in all of these capitalist countries, because it is impossible to actually pay back what is loaned out.
Man, is this a great system? Like, it really feels like it's sustainable forever. And it doesn't, because when you really break it down and learn about it, it's not like you're sitting here going, oh, we're weeks, months away, maybe even weeks away from just a complete global collapse, worse than anything we've ever seen, ever.
Yeah, and even if you just look at the regular boom bust cycle, not even some collapse the likes of which we've never lived through, even if you just look at the normal boom bust cycle of capitalism, the average is 4 to 7 years of each recession, each bust. And for a lot of people in America or in whatever country that might not have that much import, there's a lot of rich people that don't suffer really at all. There's a lot of middle class that do okay. But for every bust, there are millions that have their lives destroyed. I mean, with the mortgage crisis, you have millions of people kicked out of their homes. And of course, when someone's kicked out of their home, you often have a spiral of suicides, of divorces, of obviously then that fucks up the children. And it's just the ramifications of this system are kind of just fucking never even, I mean, they're hardly talked about. The fact that every few years, this system just destroys millions of people and the rich get richer. And that is how the system is meant to work. That's when it's working right.
Yeah. That's like, oh, everything's working great. Oh, great. Domestic violence is up, suicides up, petty crimes up. Oh, this is fantastic. This really works. Just people are decimated. Then you've got intergenerational abuse, because somebody grew, I mean, like I always tell people who are like, oh, capitalism, the free market can fix, but I go, you name a societal ill, name one, and I'll tie it to capitalism. Name one, pick one. Drug addiction. Oh, wow. Probably because they were abused as a kid. Why were they abused as a kid? Maybe their dad or mom were having money trouble. I bet you somewhere in there's a lot of reasons for child abuse. There's a lot of reasons for it, but I bet you somewhere in there, somebody lost a job, somebody foreclosed on a thing, something happened in there that really put a catalyst on that. And they were like, well, why were your parents abusive? Well, they were children of the Depression. So I can trace it back. I can trace it back in my own family or anybody's family. Like, I can trace it back to that. And we're on, I mean, I got divorced in 2011, and there was a lot of reasons for that. And some of it was stuff I had to work on myself. My ex-wife, we're still friends, and that's great. But you can't overlook the fact that I went through bankruptcy and foreclosure. That was a huge, constant money stress, like constant, man. Yeah. Constant. And it was like, and it was thanks to Bush and mainly Obama letting the banks steal my fucking house. I made some mistakes along the way. There's no two ways about it, but I wasn't bailed out. The banks make mistakes. They're fine.
So yeah, I mean, I people obviously know we're friends, but I don't know all that about your everything about your history. But when you say you made some mistakes, was this kind of the thing where you were talked into signing something that was kind of unsustainable?
I was definitely offered like, oh, this will be easy. I was like, are you sure? Yeah, no problem. And it's like, those were some of the mistakes. And those, I mean, I put some,
which is,
but some not. Some it's like,
well, no, yeah, yeah. I mean, look, in any decision we make in life, people are going to say, well, some of it's on you. And it's like, okay, yeah, some of it's on me. But like that process was designed that way. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, it wasn't like they thought people understood how these subprime mortgages or variable rate mortgages or all this crazy shit. Oh, people understand how it works. And then they were like, oh my goodness, they don't get it. But the fucking system was designed to push things on people that they couldn't quite grasp because we're not fucking mathematicians. We're not economists. We don't know legalese. And
we're not taught it. We're deliberately not taught any of these things in public schools too. That's part of it too, to keep us ignorant. So we'll just sign whatever and go into debt and get a credit card or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, this worked the way it was supposed to work. It was supposed to trick people into things that they likely couldn't afford. And, you know, some would afford it and the bank be like, all right, great, you can afford it. But, I mean, it's a fucking horror show system. And yeah, a very slight bit of that has changed, but most of it's still going.
No, it's all, I mean, watch the movie, The Big Short. I just watched it again. Like I tell people, watch the movie, The Big Short, because it's all going to happen again. They say it at the end of that movie. Nothing got changed. Yeah. I mean, and they started back in 2015, these basically same bullshit loans again. These QDCs or whatever they were called, you know what I mean? Like they're bundling these bad loans together again and putting a nice wrap around them and saying, oh, they're great. It's all happening again. I mean, you were talking, all of us indie media people were all talking before the recession about the housing bubble, the commercial real estate bubble, the student loan bubble, the car loan bubble. You know, there was in February, I did a story that there was 2 million car loans that were 90 days late or more in February. You think that number's gone down now? So like, it's like, and now getting back to this topic of the Federal Reserve, it's part of the whole system that was designed to where Wall Street and the federal government can just give themselves, they got great socialism, those folks. They get amazing socialism. Everything's paid for. Everything's taken care of. We saw it in the CARES Act. We'll see it again. I mean, Biden's going to come to the rescue and sign some stimulus. Some new stimulus needs to be signed. Yes, it does for the American people, but guaranteed buried in there will be more kickbacks to these Wall Street assholes. And also, I'll just throw this out. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, every president that said they wanted to end the Federal Reserve got assassinated.
That I don't know.
I'm just going to say yes.
I know that JFK said he was going to end the CIA, and that went well.
That didn't help. Yeah, he said he's going to end the CIA. A lot of people have like, yeah, we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve, and it's just like a lot of. That's a whole nother government secret.
Oh,
anyway,
do you have that list on hand? How many of them said they were going to end the Fed?
That's a great question. I don't have that on hand.
Wouldn't it be great if the answer was like, turns out none of them.
None of them.
None of them said they were going to end the Fed.
Nobody said they were going to end it. But yeah, I think it's kind of might be tied to like all the leaders of the world that said we're not using the petrodollar anymore, and then we invaded them or they got murdered.
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. The central bankers rule all at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's one of the things they need, going back to what you're talking about with the debt. That's why they love war so much, is war gives every country has to print money and go into debt to keep a war going. I mean, they have to do that. That's why so the Federal Reserve also lies that that deflation is bad. No, it's not. Deflation is actually the cost of things cost less. So like in 1865, after the end of the Civil War, to the 1900, by the time you got to 1900, I believe, or maybe it was 1880 or 1890, somewhere in there, you could buy, the cost of goods came down after the Civil War because there was a lot of inflation. You have to go into, both sides had to go into debt, right, for the Civil War. So that's the thing they always say, oh, deflation's bad because, oh, that'll hurt wages. And I watched this video, this guy so like after the Civil War, all these wages went up and the cost of goods came down. This is before the creation of the Federal Reserve. So like, that's another thing the Federal Reserve lies to us about, is like, well, inflation, we need it. No, it's only good for, we don't need this. Things don't have to cost more. Like,
right. And speaking of only good for them, a lot of people, including Trump, are very excited that the Dow hit 30,000 or whatever. And meanwhile, that means nothing for your average American. First of all, 80% of all stocks are owned by 10% of people. So they're not getting money from these stocks going up, most Americans. But then on top of that, corporations, generally their stock does better when workers are fully exploited, meaning they don't have any power. They can't stand up and fight back. The corporation does better. So you see a high stock when the average American working person is crumpling under the stress of it all. That's when a stock does well, because the corporations have full power to do whatever the fuck they want. My analogy that I've been using for years, but I wanted to catch on, is that being excited about how well the stock market is doing is like if you saw like a dying man in his last hours and you judged the health of the leeches on his skin and you saw they were healthy, and so that means he's doing great. It's like, no, you're looking at the parasites.
The leech market is doing fantastic. Leeches are going through the roof. But that's the other thing, when people always say, oh, the stock market's, when the media says this bullshit, I'm always like, especially now, I'm like, weird. So when the stock market just had a great week. You know who else had record numbers? Food banks.
Yeah.
They've had record numbers.
Yeah.
This past Thanksgiving week, all the food banks are like, we haven't seen anything like this ever.
I can't remember. Maybe you can help me out. Are food banks on the Dow Jones? I don't know.
I want to say no. I don't think that they are. But yeah, someone's like, boy, maybe we should put food bank stock on the market. Like, it's unreal, man. It's unreal. So anyway, that's my Federal Reserve government secret.
Thank you guys for joining us. I'm gonna dip out and let Graham answer some questions, but everybody can check out my stuff at leecamp.com. And I was mentioning when we had the sound issues before that I've just been told by PM Press that my book is 50% off right now with the coupon code GIFT, GIFT. Until January 1st. So you got to go to their website though. Don't get it on Amazon. You got to go to pmpress.org and you can get 50% off. The book's called Bullet Points and Punchlines. But yeah, other than that, I have a show called Redacted Tonight. I have another podcast called Common Censored, and it's all at leecamp.com.
Support small businesses, you guys. So go to pmpress.org. They're a cool little publishing house. They actually are out of San Francisco. They were at Ron and I's show, our last live show we did before the shutdown. And again, support them over Amazon. And Bullet Points and Punchlines is a fantastic book. Makes a great gift.
Makes a great gift.
A great gift for family and friends. And also,
did you have to train for the radio voice, or is that just natural?
Lee, this was my standard speaking voice that I talk to the good people of America and across the world and all the shit to see. I think my training was, I grew up and, as a kid in the 70s, when you stayed home from school, you'd watch game shows. So that was my training, was faking that I was sick so I could stay home and watch Jim Perry jog out for Card Sharks or whatever. Is it higher than a 9? Yes. And then you learn is it higher than a 9? Ooh. That's a skill. So it's a skill. So I'm going to start doing a game show host training school. People. Anyway, folks, also you can watch my show, Political Vigilante, on YouTube. Lee and I both are on rockfin.com. So check out that cryptocurrency platform. And of course, you can get all my stuff at grahamelwood.com. That's it. Government Secrets, episode 18. Put it in the books.
Later, man. Have a good day.
All right, buddy. Lee Cap, everybody. That was our episode, folks. How about it? How about a little GovSeek, huh? 655 folks, hit the subscribe button. If you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. All those numbers really, really help. We've got 430 likes. I like it. Let's get the likes up to 500, everybody. And welcome everybody watching on the Rockfin. Fred Edward, how are you, my friend? And on the Facebook. Boom. Bill Hicks is still alive. Bill, I don't know. It's Alex Jones. Outstanding. I'll answer your super chats now, folks. Mackenzie Carpenter, shave your knuckles for justice. What if I'm a fan but not vegan or vegetarian? It's totally okay. You're just don't be afraid of my vegan guns. You can eat what you feel comfortable with. Melissa H., shave your knuckles for justice. War with Iran and Neeratanin. Can it get worse? Yes, it can. Kate, our moderator. Kate, what's up? Shave your knuckles for justice, Kate. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe to the show, especially if you're new to the channel, you just found us, or you're a fan of Lee's or whatever. Subscribe to my channel. If you're new to Lee, subscribe to his channel. Those subscription numbers help. And also support what I do. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/GrahamElwood, where I'll take this whole live stream and it'll go up on Patreon and on Rockfin. And then we'll release the whole episode as an audio podcast as well. So listen to Government Secrets on iTunes and Spotify, and positive reviews and sharing it also helps. All those things help. It's a new show. We're only 18 episodes in, so it's growing. Kate, our moderator, there's a movement to restart using disused train and light rail lines. A lot of the tracks are still there. Ooh, I love that movement. I love it. Sam D, Shaver Douglas for Justice. Do you know why the Amish girl was excommunicated to Mennonite? Sammy D, down under. Harry C. Smith, how are you, Harry? Shaving your knuckles for justice. Lee, can you please marry your co-star Anders Lee, then both change your names to Lee Lee? It really means a lot to me. Thanks, mate. Oh, I love that. I'll make sure Lee gets that. Fan of fanfic, shave your knuckles for justice. Or in Black Panther, where the white CIA guy is portrayed as morally good hero instead of a villain who immediately plans a U.S. invasion of Wakanda. I know, right? Right? Government Secrets, come here for the truth, everybody. Hit the like button. Let's get it up over 500 likes. DC Punk, shave your knuckles for justice. What is the Marvelous Miss Maisel didn't make? Wait, the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel didn't make Lenny Bruce famous? That's hilarious. Yeah, it's weird. It didn't. Green Party 2020, shave your knuckles for justice. Thank you. Sharif Snug. Sharif, good to see you back here, my friend. I know you've been busy. I hope you had a nice holiday. Graham, all the intelligence agencies have co-opted Hollywood since the 1930s. However, was all about making cops look good in the media. Yeah, there was a great video essay on YouTube called The Hero Cop Trope by The Take. Ooh, good to know. Yeah, that's another thing we didn't even get into. It's a great point. Yes, it's always made to make the CIA, the military look good, but all those cop shows, cops are the good guys, you know, Dirty Harry, all those movies, all that stuff. It's a very, very good point, Sharif. Sharif Snugs again, my friend. Shave your knuckles for justice. Also, Obama is on the board of directors at Netflix. Yeah, I know. For the same reason why Amazon will never make a show to criticize law enforcement. Yep. That's Obama's job, man. Put liberals to sleep and think real change happened. Look what he did. I mean, we talked about it over the summer when the players, the NBA and the NFL and the Major League Baseball were all striking, and that could have been this powerful moment where all the big sports leagues just shut everything down to force people to deal with systemic racism. Obama came in and said, go back to playing. Everybody stop talking about it. That's his job. Everybody stop talking about it. That's been his whole career. Boom. Tell the truth, Graham. The deep state is demonetizing your channel because you're massive kale farm. Get big kale out of politics. Yes, dude. You know, I get money from Kale Street. I flew here in Kale Force One. Sharif Stuggs again. What's up, dude? Just got a razor burn from shaving my knuckles. Boom. Love it. Do you think Trump really cares about being president, or he's just hates losing? Probably the latter. I think when he leaves office, he'll make money on the vaccine along with his buddy Bill Gates. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, Trump is just going to be like, I just hate losing. I don't want people to stop talking about me. But he's probably like, being president's too hard. It's too much work. Harry C. Smith. Ba-boom. Seville was close friends with royal family for decades. Yep, that's true. Good point. Dan L. Values. What's up, Dan? Here's some digital Federal Reserve paper. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate the digital Federal Reserve paper. Have we talked about the huge number of Nazis that were brought to the USA post-World War II and given jobs in the intelligence community? Yes, we have talked about that. We've talked about Operation Paperclip. There was also another episode of Government Secrets we did a while ago. Operation Bloodstone, which is we hired Nazis to infiltrate communist countries to try to get communists to flip or get information or work undercover. Yeah, we used a lot of Nazis after World War II. Isn't that nice? Madass, what's up, dude? Shave your knuckles for justice. I'm saving for the new Chevy Elk Cock. It gets 3 miles to the gallon. I love doing Government Secrets. We just laughed for like an hour. I mean, we talk serious stuff and make good points, but then we also just make each other laugh. I love doing it. It's so great. Kate, what's up, Kate? Does anyone know why we are bailing out banks? How do they not have money? Where did it go? Do they have to pay it back? A total mystery to me. No, they don't. They actually do not have to pay it back. Isn't it a beautiful system? Isn't it a great system? Why are you complaining? It's so great. It's so awesome. 492 likes. Get it up to 500. Let's go. Get it up. Get it up. Rub it. Make it firm up to 500. 493. Come on. Fan fix. Shave your knuckles for justice. Ever notice how the cops are made to be awesome while the people who are supposed to hold them to account are the rat squad and antagonists? Yeah, that's been a consistent theme for decades. Sharif Snugg's talking about since the 30s. Cops are the good guys. And it's always like maybe there's one bad cop. We got to root out this one bad apple. But the systemic racism of the police is never discussed in Hollywood. And the guys that the guys that do call out the cops are on the rat squad or whatever. Nobody, internal affairs, IA is here. They're always depicted that way in the cop shows. Internal affairs, this rat squad, shell out. It's always depicted that way. Yeah, Operation Paperclip was a U.S. operation to get all scientists from Nazi Germany, and they were given new names and identities. Yep. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. My dog calms when you speak and gets rowdy when Lee speaks. I don't know, Lee. J.H. Scott 6. Boom, boom. The Trials of Lenny Bruce by Doug Linder, 2003, stated that New York Assistant District Attorney Vincent Cuccia admitted the DA's office used the law to kill Lenny Bruce. Yep. They trying to kill his career. Yep. Hitler looked to the U.S. and loved the way they used Jim Crow. Isn't that great? Oh, we're spreading the word. And tonight I will be doing Rockfin live. Normally it's at 8 o'clock. I got to push it back a half hour to 8:30. I know that's late for people in the Central and Eastern time zones, but I got another interview thing I got to do. So I will be going live tonight. Rockfin premium members. So if you're not a premium member, go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. For $10 a month, you get access to the live stream, the members only live stream tonight, and you get access to all the premium content, not just me, but Lee Camp's premium content, Jimmy Dore, Ron Placone, Convo Couch, Kim Iverson, Richard Medhurst, Nico House, Whitney Webb, a lot of fine folks. The dirty cop is always the hero too. Yep. But just want everyone to know the Rockfin premium live stream tonight will start a half hour later at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. Alan Flynn. What's up, Alan? Do you think Trump was behind the Iran scientist? I don't know. Could be. I was really worried about it, man. I did that story last week. I was like, oh, I've been talking about this. They've been ramping up a war with Iran for decades, if you want to be technical, but just under the Trump administration, at least for over a year. I'm like, be careful of the Iran false flag. And then assassinating that scientist is a good thing to force Iran to fight back, to do something, which is one of our tactics that we've talked about. Lee and I have talked about this. Yeah. Wow. Condolences. I lost my dad a few years past. Thank you for your show. My brother was set up by a cop, so you know how I feel, right? Oh, thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yeah. Can you please do a game show style top 10 false flags, please? Yes, I could do that. That's a great idea. Fan of fanfic, shave your knuckles for justice. You, Ron, Jimmy, and Steph, and Lee, I really have to mention your co-host woke me up in the political reality more than Bernie ever did. Thank you so much. That's what we're trying to do, man. That's what this show's about. It's what Lee does, Jimmy, all of us. We're all just we all have woken up at various times. And we just want to share the gospel of waking up and share it with everybody. Because when the people really wake up is when change can really happen. A lot of people are asleep. A lot of people are believing. They're drinking the two-party duopoly Kool-Aid. Oh, Biden beat Trump. That's great. Even this, Biden and the Democrats cheated Trump, which I'm sure the Democrats cheated. I'm sure the Republicans cheated. But even that is more Kool-Aid drinking to think that this party cheated more than that party rather than the whole system's broken. And this party cheating that party is also great at keeping everybody divided, fighting with each other. The last thing they want is the Trump supporter and the lefty and Black Lives Matter and Antifa all getting together going, you know who's really screwing us over? Is the ruling class. It's the last thing they want. Look, they killed Fred Hampton over it. We've talked about Fred Hampton before on the show. I'll mention it again. For those of you who don't know, he was the head of the Black Panther Party in Chicago, or young man, early 20s, 21, 22 years old. And he got together with a bunch of Southern whites in a neighborhood in Chicago called Hillbilly Harlem. There were Southern whites, many of them openly, racist, Confederate flag. And he met with them, had the first ever Rainbow Coalition. Look it up online. Fred Hampton, Rainbow Coalition. And he's talking to them and he's saying capitalism created racism. Capitalism kept us divided with each other. Fred Hampton did that. And the FBI was like, oh God, we can't have that. So they executed him. They killed him. So anything that keeps us divided and fighting with each other, they're going to do it. Anything. Workers of the world unite. They cannot let that happen. Biden promised 50 more cabinet positions than exist. That's how the game works. Yeah, I know. I know. I know. What's up, Modern Nomad? How you doing? Biden, can you, or Graham, can you talk about Andrew Yang possibly being in Biden's team? Will it matter? Ultimately, no, it won't matter. Because look, Andrew Yang, I'm glad he ran in the Democratic primary because he was talking about UBI. I didn't agree with sort of his tech libertarian view of it. But he was mentioning the importance of UBI, and I'm glad he just brought that into the public conversation. That was impressive or important, an important thing to bring to the mainstream conversation. Like that was just being prior to Andrew Yang, that was just talked about on like shows like this or whatever. Andrew Yang got that into the mainstream, which is good. But then of course he quickly, and he was good to have on the debate stage. It was good to bring up stuff. He wasn't a career politician, but he's a tech billionaire, so he's a tech entrepreneur. So there's a lot of stuff to be leery of. And he quickly acquiesced and dropped out and endorsed Joe Biden. He didn't line up with Bernie. And he did that so that he would get this kind of, he was guaranteed or promised something like this. So he's not the outsider that wants to shake up the system. He wants to work within the system, which means getting in the Biden cabinet will mean no real change will happen. There's no progressive nothing that's going to come out of the Biden. It's not going to happen. All the shit that Trump rolled back, they'll put those back in place and they'll go, yay, we did it. We're done. See, we're better than Trump. And liberals will go, yes. And lefties like us will go, well, that's not enough. Of course you were going to do that. You better do that. Now you need to keep going. Oh, wait, don't push. Wait till the midterms. Wait till 2024. That's what we'll hear. So Yang is just part of this, I'll talk about that right now. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you this. I gotta show you. Jesus. Here we go. Hold on. Here we go. We'll just turn this into a big old segment. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on, everybody. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Yeah, with the beep, the bubble. Yeah, bubble, beep, boo, 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 bubble, beep, boo. Yeah, with the beep, the bubble. All right. Hold on. We are building a segment in real time, ladies and gentlemen. Put that near my mouth. This is gonna be exciting. Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, I love. Thank you, MSNBC. Your nonsense allows me to have my own show. Oh, God, it's unbelievable. Folks, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and join us at patreon.com. Whoops. All right, everybody. All right. Gamer for Life's having chili for dinner. That's good. I do need a second person. That would be so great. Granny Petrol did get a new position in Biden's cabinet. She's really excited. They're combining Secretary of Agriculture with 436 likes, everybody. Hit the like button. It would be nice if I had a second person. I could just go, hey, you talk about something for a while I build this segment real quick. That would be nice. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everybody. Wait a minute. Let's get that up there. Hello, everybody. Whoa. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. So we're Biden's cabinet, right? So now they're talking Andrew Yang is going to be in Biden's cabinet. Right? Some people are like, oh, the progressive. No, it's not going to. Look, I'm glad Yang talked about UBI in the Democratic primary. He brought it. That's a subject we'd only been talking here in indie media, but it wasn't a mainstream talking point until he brought it up in the Democratic primary, and I give him credit for that. And he had some solid debates, but then of course he bails and immediately backs Joe Biden. So that's not going to be, there's not going to be any progressive, anything's going to happen. Even if Andrew Yang legitimately, and Andrew Yang, let's be real clear, he's a tech libertarian. He's a big business guy. Nobody knew who he was until he ran. And now look at where he's getting. He's helping his books, and he's going to be in the cabinet, and okay. He's on MSNBC now. So his little marketing tactic worked. I'm glad he brought up UBI, but even his UBI is still within the framework of free market capitalism that benefits the 1%. It doesn't benefit working class people. But it's good to bring up UBI. So him in the cabinet isn't going to be good. It's not going to be good at all. And they're going to try to feed us bullshit. The corporate media now, this MSNBC put this on Twitter. Don't focus so much on President-elect Biden's cabinet picks to prejudge his foreign policy that they may be centrist, but the goals they're aiming for are progressive. And this is MSNBC, and we're going to go into this article. Go to sleep, progressives. This is the centrist carrot dangling. You know? Because guess what? There's going to be a Republican Senate. So they go, oh, we can't pay the obstructionist Republicans. Remember? They even sold that to liberals, and liberals bought it when Obama had the House and the Senate. But they were like, oh, it wasn't a filibuster-proof Senate, which was bullshit. It was. They're like, oh, so as the obstructionist Republicans, that's why we didn't have free healthcare. No, Democrats made sure we didn't have free healthcare. Democrats and Republicans worked together under the Obama years to make sure we didn't have free healthcare. Because they're both paid by the healthcare lobby, and the military industrial complex spends money on MSNBC just like they do on Fox and all that other shit. So when I saw this tweet, I took a lot of time to think about it, and I came up with a very sort of constructive public debate response. I just put ha 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 in all caps. There's no way this is a joke. This is a joke. And it's more like what this title is saying. All the people who are like, don't be critical of Biden. Now's not the time. Oh, we weren't supposed to be critical of him during the primary. We weren't supposed to be critical of him during the general. And now we're not supposed to be critical when he puts together this right-wing, pro-military, pro-oil fracking with Republicans and super right-wing Democrats in his cabinet. And now MSNBC is telling it, don't be so easy. Don't prejudge. Just wait. We're always supposed to wait. I've said this before. Liberals, you are the blockade for us getting actual lefty things. And most of the country wants Medicare for all. They want student debt forgiveness. They want free college. They want to end all these ridiculous wars. We're bringing in a bunch of war hawks to Joe Biden. Signed the 94 crime bill. Joe Biden was vice president when Obama dropped more bombs than Bush. They're bringing in all these Obama people. It's unreal. It's going to be more war. But let's read the dumb bullshit in this article. Given the challenge of rebooting the nation's operating system after 4 years of President Donald Trump and his haphazard staffing, I am not here defending Donald Trump's cabinet at all. But this notion that everything was so great and then Trump came, come on. When Obama left office, we were bombing 7 countries. Obama dropped more bombs than Bush, and liberals don't want to hear. They'll listen to this at the most. They'll listen to this and go, yeah, the most. And then usually you'll get, yeah, but he was better than Bush. Obama was not better than Bush if you lived in Syria, Yemen, or Libya, countries that Obama bombed that Bush didn't. These are facts, but bombing doesn't bother the liberal because it doesn't happen in their cul-de-sac. It doesn't happen with their nice college degrees. They don't care. So Trump was an awful president, no two ways about it, but so was Obama. So was Bush. So was Clinton. We're all supposed to act like everything was great. Trump was just really dumb and a narcissistic jackass, but he ran on an anti-interventionist campaign that he never upheld. But Trump bombed everybody. His first pick for Secretary of State is Rex Tillerson. He's been since fired, obviously, but he was from ExxonMobil. Obama's cabinet was picked by Citibank. But MSNBC can't seem to get that information that I can readily get. Anyone with an internet connection and a search engine of any type can find. Unbelievable. So this right there just is maddening, right? It's hilariously insane, right? Trump out, he's putting families in cages at the border. Yeah, that's awful. That's awful. I hope that stops. It's not going to stop by Joe Biden because you know who built those cages? Obama and Biden. Obama deported 3 million people. But dummy neoliberals who watch MSNBC, they're going to read this bullshit and think, oh. And what this is also saying is centrists who go on social media and get after lefties like me and you for holding Biden accountable, this feeds that just, first he's got to undo all the problems of Trump, and then maybe we can get some stuff. Oh, it's midterms, we can't do that. Oh, it's 2024, we can't do that yet. These are problems that were there before Trump took office. All the contaminated water, that's because of Trump. No, Flint, Michigan was happening. Obama lied, drank that water, lied. He lied. He deported 3 million people. He built the cages at the border. He dropped more bombs than Bush. He gave the banks $1 trillion and let 6 million foreclosures happen. 6 million, my home being one of them. So again, this just feeds the stupid liberal, things were great with Obama. Well, at least he was better. And that's all we're going to hear for 4 years. At least Biden, he's not perfect, but at least he's better than Trump. Better than Trump would be Trump would be Biden. Fucking idiots. Biden's not exactly what anyone would call a peacenik, but after going on 20 years of constant war, yep, we've been at war in Afghanistan for 19 years. We're going into our 20th year. Yep. Joe Biden, who voted for the war in Iraq, Joe Biden, who voted for the Patriot Act, and all these people he's putting in the cabinet, John Kerry and Casey, all these people who voted for the Iraq war, voted for the Afghanistan war, we're still in those countries. We just had Thanksgiving, record numbers of people for food banks in every city of America. Food banks are like, we've never had this before, ever. Record numbers, but we always got money for war. And MSNBC is going to have us believe that there's some secret progressive agenda coming with all of these like corporate conservative Democrats and then just outright neocons. John Kasich? Mitt Romney. Republicans. They're Republicans. Trump, for all of his misguided logic, wanted to roll back some of the U.S.'s overseas military commitments that have left the armed services stretched thin. all of his misguided logic, whatever, you, MSNBC, with your CIA agents and defense contractor military experts on your show, went after Trump when he wanted anti-interventionism. You went after people like Tulsi Gabbard when she said, why are we invading Syria? Why are we starting another interventionist war? Like, friends of mine died in Iraq because she was served in a medic unit. She was a combat officer there. She saw combat, saw awful things in combat. MSNBC went after her for that. They called her an Assad apologist. MSNBC gets money from Raytheon. So let me show you that. Let me just show you this. I know I've shown you this before, but I just want to put everything just so you see what's happening here, how this is working. I just want you to see everything as it is being explained. So this is MSNBC telling you in a tweet that don't be so judgmental of Biden's foreign policy team. It's going to be progressive. Really? They get money. MSNBC gets money from Boeing and Raytheon and all these other people, just like all the other networks do. Look at this Raytheon ad that uses clips from MSNBC. Oh, looks like some cool tech thing. Oh, it must be computers. It must be the new Galaxy. It must be the new iPhone. What is it? 21st century.
We see these beautiful pictures at night from the decks of these two U.S. Navy vessels.
That was the first, when Trump first bombed Syria. That's when MSNBC Brian Williams literally was like, oh, look at these rockets. He literally had an orgasm watching rockets go kill poor people, rockets that could have been spent to housing for the homeless, schools, all this stuff in America got spent to bomb, right? That's when Fareed Zakaria said Donald Trump became president today, when he bombed Syria in April of 2017. That's the definition to become a president by the corporate media that has ad time bought. Raytheon buys ad time on MSNBC, not because they're going to sell Johnny, average American, husband and wife America, middle Americans rockets. It's like, oh, honey, the new Tomahawk missiles are here. That's not why they do it. They do it to buy influence so that Brian Williams then says crap like this to get Americans to buy it. So this tweet, I just want to give you the history of what this tweet is. It's a history of MSNBC bullshitting and gaslighting you to saying how great war is. And then to lie to you, progressives, and basically kind of subtly tell you, just relax. Don't get so mad. Don't be so critical of Biden's awful right-wing, warmongering, corporate Wall Street cabinet picks. Just sit back because there's this long play. Remember with Obama? Oh, he's playing three-dimensional chess. Just wait till his second term. It's always wait till the general election. And then Biden won. He won. Okay, don't be so critical of him now. Just wait. Wait till he gets in office. Then, okay. Then so I'll wait till he gets till January 20th. Then, okay, now we're doing cabinet appointments. I don't want these people in your cabinet. Just wait till the midterms. We got to retake the Senate. I heard this. We retook Congress in 2018. Nothing happened. The democratically controlled Congress has signed off for all of Trump's nonsense. Just wait till 2024. No, the military-industrial complex doesn't want you asking questions. And they pay to feed MSNBC to feed you more nonsense like this.
I am tempted to quote the great Leonard Cohen, I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons.
Guided by the beauty of our weapons. Anybody waiting in line for a food bank?
We are one global team.
Creating trusted, innovative solutions.
To make the world a safer place.
No, you're making the world a worse place. Raytheon, you're evil. and you own MSNBC and all these other networks. Right? So that's what's that. I just wanted to show you that before we go back to this ridiculous article. Trump, for all of his misguided logic, wanted to roll back some of the U.S.'s overseas military commitments that have left armed services stretched thin. So that was when Trump went anti-war, and I didn't like Trump, but when Trump went anti-war, MSNBC and even Democrats and liberals would attack him from the right, saying, oh, he's not war enough. We don't have an anti-war movement in this country other than, like, thank God for Medea Benjamin at Code Pink, but there's not the anti-war movement got put to sleep under 8 years of Obama. He had nice tweets. So when he set the Middle East on fire, liberals didn't care. They put their Obama sticker on their Prius. They get their canvas shopping bag, and they're good. They're good. And now everyone's falling for it again. This is absolutely the time to be critical of Biden's cabinet picks. These are horrible picks. They're horrible. If you call yourself a liberal, so if you're not being critical of these picks, then you're okay with fossil fuel industry. You're okay with bombing poor countries while Americans are starving during a pandemic. You're okay with people dying because they don't have health insurance so that Raytheon can make record profits bombing poor countries. All right, you guys are suckers if you fall for this. And by you guys, I mean the liberals, the vote any blue will do crowd. You guys won't listen. You won't learn. You won't do anything. You know why? You want to know why you won't? Because the media is this powerful. You know who said that? Oh, Malcolm X.
So instead of legislation, in my opinion, it takes education. The whites have to be re-educated so that the racism that they have in their heart can be eliminated, and our people have to be re-educated so that we will know how to do something for ourselves, instead of waiting for others to do it for us all the time. Well, how will that re-education be brought about? Well, just as in World War II, this country could use its news media to propagandize and make the whole American public love the Germans and the Japanese, rather love the Russians and the Chinese and hate the Germans and the Japanese. And then after the war, they changed it and made the American public love the Germans and love the Japanese, hate the Russians and hate the Chinese, which shows that they can make the American public love whom they will and hate whom they will. And that same process can be used to re-educate the American public and show white people how to love black people and show black people how to do something to stand on our own feet and solve our own problems.
Yeah. During World War II, China and Russia were our allies, and there was movies made and talked about how great their fight. We're helping them. We're fighting shoulder to shoulder against Hitler. And then the minute the war ended, oh, they're evil. This is what Malcolm X is talking about. The propaganda multiplier. I show this to you all the time. So this is the White House, the CIA, and the Pentagon feed these news agencies, AP, AFP, and Reuters. And then this trickles down. There's NBC, which is MSNBC's part of that. So literally, that tweet is coming from up here. It's coming from the war machine. And who really controls this is Raytheon, Boeing, and all those folks, right? Just like Merck Pharmaceuticals and Anthem Blue Cross and all those companies control why we don't have free healthcare in this country. And liberals will fall for it. Liberals will fall for it. Don't be critical of Joe Biden. He's awful. And but Trump, Trump was awful too. I'm glad Trump's gone. He was awful. The whole system's broken. Yeah, but I don't want to hear your but bullshit. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the pressing. What he's talking about, Brian Williams, I have to quote the great Leonard Cohen, I'm guided by our weaponry. We're the oppressors. The United States empire is the oppressors. And we oppress poor people all throughout the world, and we oppress the American people are oppressed on a daily. That's why there's food lines. That's why people die, because they don't have health insurance, because the American empire oppresses its own people and people around the world. But we cheer for them. We cheer for the oppressors. Somebody told me at Thanksgiving dinner, they were like talking about how they were mad at billionaires and their dad got mad at them. Hey, don't be so hard on the billionaires. A working class guy is mad at someone who's critical of billionaires? Unreal. Here's Trump just putting his hand on the orb of the Saudis. Thank God he's gone. Oh no, everybody's done that, gang. Sold weapons to the Saudis, sold weapons to the Saudis, sold weapons to the Saudis, sold weapons to the Saudis. He dropped more bombs than that guy, which dropped more bombs than that guy, which dropped more bombs than that guy. So Andrew Yang's in his cabinet. We're going to finally get a progressive. No. And even if they put Bernie in his cabinet, great. I'd love to see Bernie in his cabinet. It ain't going to change anything. We have to fundamentally get out of this whole corrupt system. That's why we need the People's Party. We need a real third party. We need to get third-party people in all the local government. And also get out of the central banks. Start educating yourself on crypto and Bitcoin. Get educated on that. And get your money out of the banking system to take away their power so they can't keep the war machine going. And Joe Biden's White House is there's going to be more war. We're going to invade Iran or Venezuela. If Trump doesn't invade them first, like we're on the brink of invading Iran again. If Trump doesn't, we will be at war with Iran. If we're not, if it doesn't happen before Biden becomes sworn in, it will within his first year. Trust me. Thanks for supporting the show, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. Support what we do. I don't get money from Raytheon. They don't support this show. Pfizer doesn't support this show. ExxonMobil doesn't support this show. You support the show, and I thank you for it. You guys fund me. You support what I do. Like, share, subscribe. All these great ways to support what I do so I can keep bringing you this truth rather than having to read this nonsense on Twitter from MSNBC. Shave your knuckles for justice. You're making Gotham great again. Boom. Tisha T. Shave your knuckles for justice. Do you think some subscribers dropped because it's too hard to witness? Once you know the game, easy to see it will be worse. I subscribe. Still love you, PV. I'm sure there's some of that, Tisha, but there's no way, if you're consistently dropping new content, that people are going to be unsubscribing. Unless you do something like I put out some videos that just really pissed people off and there was some big backlash on social media, which that hasn't happened. Yeah, they're just unsubscribed. And people have told me, Graham, I've had to subscribe to your channel 2, 3, 4 times. So that's how I know. If you're dropping content consistently, if I just stopped, if I went 3 weeks without dropping a single video, I could see my subscriber count coming down. But I don't miss a day. I don't miss a day of dropping at least one video, something. So. $594 likes. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Christine, shave your knuckles for justice. Thank you, Christine, for supporting the show. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, I got to roll because I'm going to be going live tonight. Thank you, Fred Edward and Mount Unit. On Rockfin. 599 likes. Come on, 600 likes, 600 likes. Hit it. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. You can do it. There it is. We did it. 600 likes. I love it. Thank you, everybody who put money in the super chats. I really appreciate it. And again, if money's tight, and I totally get it, there's there's Patreon, there's Rockfin, there's the super chats. I have a Venmo. There's a PayPal button on my GrahamElwood.com. And I understand right now money's tight for a lot of people. So I always want to point out the free ways to support what I do. It doesn't cost you a penny, just a little bit of time, not much. So I say hit the like button. Getting 600 likes is important. Making sure you're subscribed is important. Sharing these videos out. Watching them all the way through. Watching the ads all the way through on YouTube. When you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Just let the ads play. Open up a separate browser window, whatever you have to do. Or maybe one device just plays the ads and the other one you watch the videos. Those are great free ways. Follow me on mainly Twitter. At Graham Elwood is my Twitter handle. So that's where I talk politics on Twitter. Like my Facebook fan page. All that stuff helps. I have a Pandora channel, the Graham Elwood Pandora channel. Both my comedy albums, Comedians Got a Boo Boo and Palm Strike Dance Party, are on. It's free. You just got to listen to ads every once in a while. But every time you listen, I get residual income. Signing up to Rockfin is free. So all those free things help support the show, and I really appreciate it because I understand money's tight. Don't feel bad, but if you can do any of those other little free items, it takes just a click here, a like there, all that stuff helps. Thank you. All right. DC Thomas. YouTube has been hiding blue dot notifications of new content on your channel and Jimmy's. Yep. I have to check in to see new content manually. Oh, I know. Even if make sure you've hit the bell notification button, but some people, even if you do that, they won't tell you when I drop new videos. This is maddening. All right, folks, I got to go. No, this interview I'm doing later is not on. So it's I don't know when they're going to release it. But I will go live tonight at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time for Rockfin Premium. So if you're a Rockfin Premium member, it's a free, it's included in your $10 monthly membership. Also, if you're not, go to rockfin.com. It's $10 a month. Endorse my channel. I get residual income. They pay us in crypto. So you're supporting a new technology. It's blockchain. It's cryptocurrency. They don't censor us on Rockfin. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'll be there 8:30 tonight. I do. If you go to grahamelwood.com, I have a PayPal button. I also have a P.O. box. Some people prefer to send me stuff old school, checks, money orders, whatever. If that's what you prefer, that's totally cool. Twice one day, that's a lot of commitment. Something came up. I'm dipping out. No worries, Nicole. Thank you so much. This live stream was awesome. Thanks, Graham, for stopping by the other night. I didn't see your message till after you left. No worry, Redneck Economics. She's got a cool show. Check out the other YouTube. Redneck Economics is a good show. Backyard Politics. Check those shows out. Thank you, Stevie. I hope you're well. Dude, I didn't even know you were live. YouTube didn't let me know on my live notification. Yep. Yeah, corp-owned YouTube is the past. Rockfin is the future. If you did miss the majority of this live stream, I will put it up on Rockfin for the premium and on Patreon at the $10 level. So for $10 a month on either Rockfin or Patreon, you get all the I archive all of these live streams so you can watch the whole thing. So thank you all so much. I got to do a second show tonight, so I got to go easy on my voice. So I'm not going to be doing any karaoke right now, but I will sing tonight on Rockfin. And I will be live again tomorrow. Boo, 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 boo. Might be earlier in the day, trying to line up a bigger guest. We have a time thing, so we'll check that out. Yeah. All right. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. 619 likes. I love it. We had over 600 viewers when Lee was on, which was fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kate, our moderator. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. You're all making Gotham great again. Follow the money. Connect the dots. You're all voting with your dollars. All those little things you do, they all add up. The fact that you're here watching this, getting independent, getting different views. Don't listen to watch the corporate media, but just know how they're lying to you. That's how I watch it. Like, oh, what nonsense are they feeding us today? Oh, this is nice. So share, spread the word. Have a great night. Yeah, Richard Medhurst is also on rockfin.com. So that $10 gets you access to him. I've had Medhurst on the show before. I'd have Jason Burmis on the show, Convo Couch, Whitney Webb, all those folks. So check it out. Thank you so much, everybody. You're all making Gotham great again. Shave your knuckles for justice.